everybody. Love that song. Welcome,
Oh,
everybody.
yeah.
We are still in a world where our leaders are confused, where people are confused. I'm looking at the headlines. Superintendent of one of the largest school systems in the United States tells the Secretary of Education, you can't put all the kids back in school. You also have here the World Health Organization says the pandemic is
Mm.
worsening. And our president of the United States says the Center for Disease Control lies. And Florida logs the second largest number of cases more than in a day, more than most countries. Maybe it's just because the United States, we test more people. That's why, maybe. Maybe if we stop
Bro,
testing,
whatever it is, the confusion,
the
the
confusion goes
chaotic,
on.
erratic behavior, the trying to show like something like someone is knows what's going on, but really no one does. It's all part of the great
A
transition.
great transition.
It's all part of the great
So,
transition.
so I'm here. I have
We have to
two teenage.
justify our excitement every show, I feel, because we're excited with this spirit of adventure, of something great and strange and interesting is happening in the world, this journey.
So why do we have to
And
justify? Because
I
people
think
will
we
think we're
gotta
weird if
I
we're
think I think so. I mean,
like, why are these two guys happy about what's all these?
exactly. It's so, I mean, and it's true. Weird, strange, uncertain, worrisome, and bad things are happening. And we're sitting here smiling. What's going on with you? Can you explain that? Before whatever it is you wanted to say, before you come up with an answer, I'll just mention to
Yeah.
everyone who's watching, tell us where you're watching from. As always, we do this global check somewhere in the middle of the show and get a feel for all of the people who want to undergo the great transition together. So, Seth, what makes you
Yeah.
happy?
Well, our audience has been here with us for many weeks already, and it's clear what's going on here. We're um, we're not looking at we look at the headlines, but we're not looking at the headlines to understand what's going on. We're looking at the headlines to see, did a war start anywhere, or exactly how many locusts were, in a certain place. But we already know the process that we're undergoing. We already understand from the wisdom of Kabbalah that the process is actually a good process, and that when a baby's learning to walk and the parent steps back, there's nothing wrong with that. That's actually how we develop. But the problem that we have is we don't agree with the process we're going through.
Let me interject.
Please.
As a baby,
As a baby,
you
speaking as a baby.
speaking as a baby, yeah, you feel that what's going on, the world, the sky is falling, the earth is shaking. How can I take that step forward? I'm gonna fall. Why are they leaving me? Why is daddy or mommy leaving me? And what is happening? It may be very shocking and strange and a weird time for the baby to take that first step. But go
if
ahead.
you if you've eaten a green banana, it's like so dry in your mouth. I don't know what's in it, a green banana, but it's like very
Yeah,
starchy, and have you ever
the, the
tried it?
the it leaves some very weird feeling and texture in your teeth.
Yeah, and yeah, it's like
Yeah.
very dry almost, even though it's wet in there, it's all dry, and
How
and you can't
how did you segue from the baby to the banana? I mean,
you'll see.
it's okay.
So what happens with the what happens when you're eating a green banana is it's clear. If that's what you thought, that's what I get for my 50 cents. It's a ripoff. But if you just wait till the green banana ripens, then you can chop the banana and put it in some
There we
yogurt, or have
go.
it with some peanut butter, or make it in a freeze and put it in a smoothie. It's Once it ripens, you understand what the value of this thing is. Now we're smart enough to understand the ripening of a banana. As a human species, we are not smart enough yet. We're actually very, very dumb about understanding the
Hmm.
ripening of humanity. And so we are now constantly biting into a green banana, but even worse,
Mm-hmm.
something much more distasteful every single day, and not understanding the process we're undergoing, and not understanding the ripening that we're going through. So, um, if we did, So now it's uncomfortable. What about my business? Okay, I understand. It's definitely uncomfortable. Clearly. Well, where am I going to get food? Okay, we understand. We have things.
Threatening, strange.
Yeah, we have to do things. We're not sitting here
Yeah.
just like talking about ideas with no for no reason. There's um and it's yes, it can be uncomfortable, but if we understand the process that we're going through, then all of a sudden we can see there's so much force leading us towards something good. Okay. For example, let me give a simple example. I have two
Okay.
teenage boys here.
I
Yeah,
like it.
what? Tell
I
me.
like what you've
Okay.
done with the banana, and
The setup here. Okay.
I think
You
we've
like what I've done?
justified why we are we're looking at the beauty of the journey and where it leads us rather than where we're at right now. So you've earned your story. Go ahead.
Okay, now I can tell a story. So I have two teenage boys at home, okay? 13 and almost 14 and 16. And they didn't have school for like 3 or 4 months, okay? These guys, we know just in general about young people, kids,
Yeah,
they learn so fast. So what I had to
so
do, because
fast.
there's no
And
structure in,
I would argue, sorry to cut you off here, I would argue
cut
that
me off. I like it.
this generation of kids uh, learns fastest than any generation
It's
before.
amazing, unbelievable.
Yeah.
Right. So what I've done is I have different stations around the house, like with every day of the month, and like a
Okay.
checkbox next to it. So one is like they have a pull. I put a pull up bar at the top of the stairs, and every day they have to do pull ups and check it off. As they're coming down the stairs. Once they get down the stairs,
Okay.
there's another one that reminds them they have to read 20 minutes, and after they read, they check it off. And then there's another as you go past the pantry. There's one they have to take their vitamins. And I'm setting up these. I'm trying to create out
I
of
like
this
it.
complete while I'm working and doing everything else. I'm trying to create some kind of structure for them and to have them get into it. But what I
They're home right
see,
now, right? They're not
they're
going.
home for the
Not
fourth month. Yeah,
okay.
they didn't go to
Yeah.
summer camp. My older one
Same with my kids.
worked all
Yep.
last summer. He's not working. He was working in a food truck and doing all kind of cool stuff, working at a
Right.
summer camp. And my younger one went to summer camp. Neither of them are doing that. So, um, what they do a lot is spend tons of time on their phones or
Uh huh.
tons of time. And I'm sure this is not just a phenomenon for my kids and in my town, but the kids are up so late at night playing video games with each other. They have like,
Sure.
we have the headphones and the mic, and they shoot, people
Sure.
online
Yeah.
for hours every night. Okay. So, um, I heard our teacher say
Isn't that
something about
horrible? Just
it's unbelievable. I sit
it's
here all day
crazy.
talking about love, and my kids, not just my kids, and but my kids are
Kids in
spending
general are
many hours
just blowing each other
shooting
up,
and blowing each other
and
up. Yeah.
yeah,
So instead of like murder and bombing and stuff in the video games, imagine if the kids could learn to fly a plane, could learn to perform a surgery,
yeah,
could basically all of the things that basically kids are so smart and school makes them so damn stupid. School makes our kids stupid. It just puts them in a smaller and
yeah.
smaller box, constantly competing against each other. Cut me off at any point. They're constantly competing against each other. They're constantly trying to figure out a way to get into some college in order to do something, in order to do something, in order to what? To make more pollution,
Didn't
basically.
we talk about that research where
Yeah, the
remind me here,
NASA story.
the NASA story?
Yeah, it's
Uh,
like 97% of kids are
yeah.
geniuses, and by
Say
the time
that.
they go through the school system, it's like 2 or 4% to come out the other end. So I said to my
Yeah,
my
so
teenager this
school,
morning.
yeah. So something specific about that one. Just one second, because I
Yeah,
remember more. I At some point I went into details of that research. It turns out that what school does is it limits, inhibits, and stifles divergent thinking, which is the kind of thinking that is unbounded when you're trying to connect things in a new way, when you're trying to make new connections that weren't there before. And what it does is bit by bit, it trains your mind to stop thinking divergently and creatively and
just
laterally, to
explain for a
just,
second what it
yeah,
means to think divergently, because
yeah. So
that's really where it's at.
coming up with new solutions, seeing new uses for, the what,
Hearing things
yeah,
in other from other people, accepting other opinions, all these.
absolutely. Absolutely. And then we get so people already grow up, teenagers, kids and teenagers, they grow up into this, thinking pattern that is very narrow, short-sighted, linear, specific, and goal-oriented, but they can't think out of the box. It's very, very, very hard. Yeah. Anyway, go ahead. Keep going.
Okay, so I said to my older boy this morning, we were making some coffee, and I was like, "Wouldn't it be amazing if you guys just learned? You could learn surgery online, you could learn to fly a plane online, and instead of going to school, you could do all these amazing things, and you could be whatever you want." He's like, "Dad, it already all exists." I'm like, "Oh," it's like I thought this was some revolutionary idea. Apparently, there's simulators. You can like run a gigantic farm with all of the knowing how to plant with the machines that do all of that it
Well, my
exists. He's
son,
like,
my son is all over Minecraft, and he does all kinds of things there. Just building,
so okay, so
creating,
this is a
designing.
primitive
Yeah,
version. This is
but
a
that's it.
primitive
Yeah,
version, but
that's very primitive. Yeah.
but the kids are so good at these video games and so good. Why, Asaf? We probably wouldn't want to do it, but you could probably have an 18-year-old heart surgeon who is the greatest heart surgeon in the world. You could probably have some kid, some 18-year-old kid flying a FedEx plane across the country
Wow.
from his bedroom or for some from some room because he just feels it all. He understands all the controls. He can
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
the plane probably anyway will be just all AI anyway. But the point is that all of these these things that need to be done, especially the surgery thing, really fascinates me. Um, it's like a video game. It can
and
be.
and a game, gaming is a whole thing. We should probably just do a show just on gaming, and the spiritual aspect of gaming, and the kind of game that we all are from the perspective of nature's program that we're in, as Kabbalah explains it. But when children are playing a game, whatever game it is, even if it's the violent things, which have their own disadvantages, but when people play, they are less afraid to make mistakes, and it is such a great platform to learn things and to try yourself out, to expand your boundaries, get out of your comfort zone, try things you haven't tried before. And our education system is so far from using that it's there's no it's very clear why children get bored and don't feel like they're really even doing something that is useful to them and engaging and interesting for them at school. But even just that, just using gamification and gamifying all the different things they need to learn. Think about VR, man. Virtual reality
So he
could
was saying
be.
that it's not just the gaming. They
Yeah.
have VR for the surgery,
There
for
you
the
go.
flying the airplanes. Like you're in there and you're like doing everything.
Wait, this is like the kind of VR games that your kids are playing, not at school.
No, no, they're playing the shooting games. But I'm saying he's telling me that they exist.
These things.
Yeah,
Okay, okay, that's pretty cool. I went into
they do play the other games with the VR and stuff. But he's saying that some of these simulator games,
yeah.
even if it's just take the shooting games because it's so easy. If the government or whoever wanted to, they could
Yeah.
just find out which kid is the best at killing people and just have him from his little bedroom. He could be fighting wars. I mean, it's a ridiculous example, but I'm saying
No, point is clear.
using
Point is clear. Yeah.
using that, you see, okay, you have millions, 10 million, 50 million kids playing the video game. Find out which one is the best at killing. Now, guys, we're not saying anything about killing. We're using an example. Which one is the best at being a soldier? Then put an actual drone out there and have the kid control it or something like that. So
And
it's the same.
now to fix your example, why not make
Thank you.
games
Bail
where,
me out.
yeah, why not make games where where children actually learn how to do things that are beneficial and productive and effective
They
and
have to somehow
positive.
become fun because it's not
Do it
as
in a
fun
fun way. Who
apparently.
said it can't be fun? Who said I
So
reject the idea that if a game is not violent, it's not fun. I think that's BS.
okay,
That's
well,
just
I'm waiting for
it's
you to
just
make one and let
well
me know
for
when you.
first of all, the thing with these games, it's just like mainstream media. It's just like the rating, the rating machines of the media. They cater to our primal instincts, to our survival instincts, to our, our fear, to our concern, to our, sense of survival instinct, in short, because that's the easiest, that's the fastest. Our brain is used to, from 200,000 years of running away from saber-toothed tigers or whatever. We're used to looking for danger, looking around for danger. Where is there a threat? Where can we avoid danger? So our brain responds to negative scenarios much faster
Hmm.
than it responds
Yeah.
to positive scenarios. So what do? So mainstream media, just like the gaming industry, works on that primal instinct, but it doesn't mean that if you'll work on developing other aspects of the human being, that you won't get any feedback, you won't get any response. It's just a matter of, what kind of what direction you're taking.
There's
um,
another layer.
yeah.
There's another layer. There's another layer to this whole thing, and that is that, and all the time in the wisdom of Kabbalah, the students who are entering and starting to study with us, what do I do? I agree. Okay, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? So we keep saying, first is the heart and the mind, and then you'll understand what to do with the hands later. The reason is because it doesn't matter what we human beings come up with, as good as we think we are, as good as we think our intentions are, at the end of the day, it's another more beautiful and more concealed way of exploiting another person to get what we want. And so the whole college business now, the business of college. Asaf, you have any idea how much it costs to go to a private university in the United States now?
I would guess a lot.
So,
And you'll be
university,
covered
for
in
example,
debt to your knees by the
my son
time. Yeah.
says, "I'd love Southern California. Let's just see what's going on there." So I just said, I started the conversation with him like, just pick any college. The University of California, which is a state school, not a private school, a state school. Private schools being more expensive. If you're an out of state student, it's $47,000 a year. $47,000 a year to send a
Wow.
teenager to school. So the reason is because
Crazy. Crazy.
many or
Yeah,
most
I think
students
I
can
think the
come out of.
situation in the US is the worst. I have to say that.
Okay, and so what
Yeah.
happened is, if everyone is familiar with the dot-com bubble and everyone's familiar with the 2008 real estate bubble, it's the same thing. The bankers look for a place. They're doing it also with the auto loans, and also doing it with student loans. So you find an up. So by creating this whole student loan industry, there's like $1.5 trillion worth of student loans out there now. So you
All right.
basically take the most vigor in the nation. You take the 18-year-olds, the 20-year-olds who are
Right.
educated now.
Most
They've life force,
energetic, ready
most
to
they're
ready to
ready to
work,
go out
ready
into
to
the world.
do
You just
stuff.
strap them with so much debt when they
Oh
graduate
man.
that, like, they're working basically Monday till Wednesday afternoon to pay off their debt, and then what they can keep from Wednesday afternoon till Friday is for them, and then half of it, probably all of that, is to go for rent. So you got to put four kids in, either put the kid in his parents' basement, or five roommates together. The point is that it became a banker's business using these students, exploiting. And then of course the universities were into it. Yeah, of course,
Mhm.
because if you give the kids the money for almost nothing, well, the interest rate's like 20% or whatever after they graduate, 15%. The kids get all this money, so the schools um, keep raising their prices because nobody's paying for it anyway now. So the schools keep raising their prices, and you create this other um,
Exponentially horrible
horrible,
situation.
horrible
You know
situation.
what? Okay, let me throw at
So
you some.
education is.
Okay, but let's we promised hope here, Seth. We
Okay,
talked about a journey that leads to a good
take me
place.
home.
Before that, before that, let's relate everything we talked about to some of the thing, to COVID, to this era that we're in, to the quarantine, to the lockdown, to everything that's going on, to try to get a perspective. And also, hopefully, in a few minutes, we're gonna have a very special guest who has a lot to say about education and motherhood as we're entering this new era. But check this out. Here are some things that I ran into today. So, okay, let me just show you that.
Show me what you
All
got.
right. So, first of all, if you look at, let's look at what's happening. There's lockdown. There was a lockdown. Now we're going into probably a second wave, as they call it, and a second lockdown. And almost 10 million children may never return to school following COVID. We're talking about the what's called poor countries. So children in 12 countries that are at extreme, they are now at extremely high risk of dropping out of school forever, simply because there's now a gap because of the shutdown and because of the economic crisis left by COVID. There's a big, like almost an $80 billion gap in education spending for the world's poorest children. Bottom line is, you're going to have millions of people, millions of children, I'm sorry, millions of children in the poorer part of the world who are simply not going back to school, not going back to that system anyway. Right now in the West, in the Western world, this is De Blasio, right, mayor of New York. He's talking about this whole debate right now, which you are going through there, which I'm going through here. In the West, people are now debating, what are we going to do? Are we going to send our kids back to school? Should it be like a blended kind of situation? Because obviously the health risks are what stands at people's face, and then they're saying, okay, should we or should we not send our kids? Bottom line, USA Today did that kind of survey. They're saying no matter how where you're from, your financial backgrounds, parents are definitely conflicted. They're definitely confused. So you have millions and millions of children in one part of the world that are simply, they don't have the ability to go back to that system, and you have millions of parents in another part of the world who are not sure what to do, whether to send. And this is the question right now when it comes to education. Are we sending our kids back to school? Um,
There's not a good option yet for.
and
Okay, tell
yeah,
me what
there's not a good
else.
option. Yeah, you're right. That's part of the problem.
The point is,
But
there's so much good. My son, the last 3 months. Sorry to interrupt you. The
yeah,
last
yeah,
three
yeah,
months of school, my kid, that the teachers were sending home worksheets. That's what they were doing, not teaching the kids, sending home worksheets. If my kid
yeah.
didn't know what to do, he would just YouTube a video on how to do this kind of problem and would learn it, and then just do the worksheets. It's like
Okay.
it's
So
all out there already, and it's
are
like
we
free.
are we getting some sort of, we started the show talking about how the situation is getting more chaotic and worrisome and threatening, but on the other hand,
It's green banana. It's just green
green
banana.
banana, green banana, we need to ripen and see towards the
And
opportunity
see where
to
we're
maybe
going.
create a
Yeah.
whole new thing here. Now, in this light, in this perspective, is it possible that we're getting a lot of aid from COVID here? Now, check this out. Also,
Yeah, instead of making our
teachers,
kids grow up to be idiots who just create pollution and end up in terrible relationships, let's teach them how to do something they enjoy. And by the way, we're not talking about socializing. We can still outside, you could learn, and
yeah.
then you want to go outside and have sports or go outside and do things together. That's we're not, of course, that's part of life as well. We're talking about the role of education, formal education.
And as I showed it before, teachers too. There's a survey that says 32% of teachers just want, if they're at an age where they can allow themselves, they just want to retire because of this whole COVID situation. They don't want to be put in. So you have and that's another whole aspect, by the way. A lot of educators, teachers, are so unhappy with their job and so burnt out and worn out. So it's like the most important thing that we need to do as a humanity, which is educate our children and bring them up into the world, and basically we're creating the future of the world in education. And not only the kids are not loving it, but also their educators, many of which are so frustrated with what they're doing and with the lack of conditions, and they're just not, they just don't feel that they want to be there. uh, that's true for a lot of teachers and
Like the
educators.
kids are developing so quickly that any kind of educational pedagogical methods you learned in school, I mean, psychology remains, but as far as like the right way to teach children is developing. I mean, 10 years ago, there was no smartphones.
Right.
12 years ago, there's no smartphones. It's, David Mancini, hi, David, who usually is very vocal and asks a lot of interesting questions. He says, why do I constantly question if I'm on the right path? Why do I constantly question if I'm on the right path, even though the signals are always clear? So, everyone, we are talking about what's going on in life through the lens of the wisdom of Kabbalah, right? You're not going to hear these kind of perspectives like this really in other places. And David, skepticism will protect you from folly. So it's good to constantly question uh, what you hear, but if something seems to make sense, you can't pull up the roots out of the ground every day and expect the plant to grow. So you have to do your work and then move forward. It's constantly good to, I mean, that's why I remember when I asked a spiritual teacher when I was in my, I mean, like 19 years old or something. I said, why do we have to go to sleep? If there's so much to do to fix the world and everything, why can't we just, do it all the time? It's such a waste. But no, this is how everything always starts in the wisdom of Kabbalah. The day on the calendar, it goes from darkness to light, darkness to light. So you always want to make it new. So there you go, David.
And
You're
also,
scared.
your heart, man, your heart. Follow your heart. You know, one only learns what their heart desires anyway. So just check in with your heart every now and then.
You have such
Um,
a good energy today, Asaf.
you too, man. And green
Thank you. No, I'm feeding
bananas.
off of your
And,
good
and
energy. Okay, where
let's
are we
do a
going at?
segue. Let's do a segue here. I see that we're
Okay.
already like, let's segue to our guest.
Okay.
She is, you know what? We actually we played a clip or two even with her weeks
It was a long
ago,
time ago
a
already.
long time ago. So I think we have an opportunity here to play another clip that she
Do it. Let's do it.
produced and plays and stars, and then we'll talk to her about motherhood and education and things like that.
Oh, we have a
So,
real expert on these things. Okay, good.
yep. So, okay. So let's just enjoy this one. You know, we promised joy and adventure. So,
Okay, let's do it.
all right. So let's watch this clip. One second. Okay.
Oh, hey, maybe we can watch this one. You know, it's the one with Brad Pitt, and the zombies are taking over the world.
Zombies.
So he's trying to find a cure with that Israeli soldier chick.
Zombies.
Ooh, what about this one? You know, the plants are spraying that stuff that makes everybody in the world kill themselves. Mark Wahlberg,
Mark Wahlberg.
Zoe Chanel.
Zoe. Wahlberg.
Got it. Earth has frozen over, 1,000 people on a train. They have to eat cockroaches, so they stop eating the babies. And it's just horrible. I mean, why do they have to make those end of the world movies so end of the world, you know? What if they made a movie about a virus? Let's say it starts in China or whatever. And it's a pandemic and it spreads all over the world. But it doesn't kill too many people, mostly elderly people. But everybody has to stay at home because they have to be in quarantine, right? So they sit at home, they can't go to their jobs, they have nothing to do. So they start thinking. They start reflecting about all the mistakes they made and how they treated nature, how they treated each other, how they exploited the planet, and they recognize they're all connected. And then the virus goes away and they step out to the world and they realize they can build a whole new world, new economy, new politics, new educational system where everybody feels connected to each other and with nature and everything is in balance and they feel like one global family and everybody are happy and everything is awesome. Wouldn't you watch that movie?
Yeah. Nah, that wouldn't work. All right, friends then.
That's so good.
Uh, okay. Hope you enjoy that. We are saying hello to Ellie Olson, who is a successful daycare owner and is a 24-hour mom and also advises to parents sometimes. And she also happens to be my lovely wife. How are you, dear?
Amazing.
Hello. I've
Awesome.
enjoyed so much listening to you talk because that these are the talks that I have with my friends and other moms. This is exactly what we talk about every time we meet. What's going on with education? What to do with the kids? There are so many options. I loved it. I loved it hearing you two talk.
So give us some answers then. First of all, Seth, I have the opportunity to speak to her more. So you're welcome to throw some questions in here. But I think let's start from as a mother and someone who really she's living and breathing motherhood and child upbringing, education, uh, her whole life basically. That's what she's about. So tell us, motherhood, COVID, new era, new world. How do you see this? Just what's your take on it? What's happening to mothers now?
Well, yeah. Well, as I see the situation from my point of view, I mean, as you said, I've always like been really into being with the kids and doing activities with them. I have a daycare, so I'm very into that. But as I see it, like other moms or just regular parents, regular moms, they're going crazy because they are not used to having the kids 24/7. They are not used to spending so much time alone with them without going out or going somewhere or meeting other friends. So at first, everybody were panicking and they were like counting the days, when will this end. So I think for most parents and like your average Joe moms, it's difficult. It's very challenging. And I can say, even for me, I've always kind of played with the idea of homeschooling. I always kind of wanted to do that and try that. Although we did send our son to school last year, he went to first grade and he did half of second grade this year. But I kind of always wanted to try homeschooling, and that's what I've been doing for the last 4 or 5 months. And even for me, and pretty awesome, it's been challenging. So it's a very interesting time. And I think people are kind of lost. I mean, they are discovering, they get to know their kids. And it's great to see parents, they start doing, I don't know, videos of TikTok and trying to get to know their kids and what they're all about. But still, we're kind of lost about what to do with them, and everybody are kind of figuring it out by themselves. Like I heard you, Seth, talking about your routine, and you got your whatever signs and the
Oh,
assignments for the
check marks all around the house. Yeah.
check marks. Exactly. So it sounds like you're doing a great job, but it's like everybody are alone in their house trying to figure it out, trying to invent the wheel at their house. And it's ridiculous because this is a global situation and there are so many tools available. You've talked about it. There are so many programs and tools and whatever you're talking about. There's everything is there. It's just not organized. It's not
Yeah,
available
you mean
because
like technology, virtual reality, gamification, whatever it is, the internet,
just all of it, project learning and online learning, and there's just so much, but it's just not organized because we've been on this hamster wheel, just going. We have to go to work. Kids go here. Kids go to this gray building. They sit for 8 hours and they be jammed with information that is completely outdated. So basically we are in this together now. We are in one boat, and all we need to do is kind of just unite and also educate ourselves so we can educate the kids better. We need to organize an online program. All these games or virtual programs, they need to be free because kids need to learn, and obviously going back to school is not a not a great option for now. So we just kind of, everybody are trying to figure it out on themselves by themselves. We just need to organize it so we can do it together. And then the kids will be a part of this one thing that everybody are learning from.
Ali, when you talked about the problem with education, it sounded like almost the same thing we've talked about so many things. The resources are there, it's just not organized. We talked about food shortages a bunch of times here. It turns out like 40 or 50% of all the food in the United States goes to waste. To
Yeah,
waste, like in
yeah,
dumps, like just
Yeah,
goes into the milk gets
I
poured
think
in it.
the research says that globally, up to 50% of all the food produced globally goes to waste. That's just
Right.
insane.
And
Insane.
insane. And then on the other hand, you have almost a billion people who are having trouble getting food. So it's again the same situation where we have all the earth, the whatever, the people, everything that we need is here in abundance. But because we don't have the unity, because we don't have the right connections together, we don't have the opportunity to channel it into the right way. So if everything wasn't here, then we would have a whole other problem. If we didn't know what to teach the children, or if we didn't have an internet, or we didn't have moms like you or shows like this, we wouldn't know. We would have a whole other set of problems. But today, everything is already revealed. It's
yeah,
just a matter of delivering everything to everybody, and for people to feel like safe and a little bit calmer so that we can communicate with each other. So I don't know if this question may be too big, but what do you do, for example, even in your community? So you're in a community with other moms who share the same, which is unique, by the way, in and of itself. Not everybody has that, but you're in a community where you're with other moms who, like you, um, value this kind of new world where we all care about each other. So how are you organizing, even in that small community in your small country? And maybe from that we can expand it out to the bigger
yeah.
picture.
Well, that's the thing, because it is still difficult because you have all kinds of types of families all around and everybody are different. So it's still not working as it should. But there are people here. We are all interested, all the parents and all the people that are working on education are interested in creating this system that the importance of it is the benefit of the children. How are we taking care of our kids so they could develop the best they can as people, as great good humans that are in harmony with nature, that understand how this world works. That's actually um, the most unique thing about it, because as we look at education, it's basically, it started with the industrial revolution. We need kids to learn numbers and letters so they can work on machines. But then it just kind of stayed that way, and they would just, we have to go to work, parents have to go to work, kids have to go to this building, and that's basically the babysitter, and they learn some stuff there. That's how it's been going for, I don't know, 200, 300 years. But now that the world has stopped, we have time to think, okay, we've been doing this is how we have been educated, this is how it's been done, and we haven't been doing a great job because education, developing people, was not a priority.
No, it's horrible. Look at how many people. There's 50% divorces. Every country is fighting a war against everyone else, and all of these people came out of our education system.
Exactly. It's all broken. It's been broken, but we didn't have the time to stop and rebuild it and to do something about it, because we've been on this hamster wheel. We gotta go to work. We gotta make money. We gotta, and the kids were like, yeah, we're making kids. They're cute when they're small, and then they grow up and whatever, we don't know what to do about it. So many parents have said, how come they didn't came with the manual? I don't get it. Like, what am I doing with this? It's growing, its ego is growing, and I'm not sure how to handle it. Maybe I'll scream at it. It's like nobody knows what to do. I even saw a
Mhm.
program with teachers, and they had these questions. Many teachers, one question, and they asked them, "Why do you expect us to sit for 8 hours?" And the teacher said, "Well, I don't expect you to, but you gotta do it." I mean,
Yeah.
they also are so limited by this old system.
There you
So in
go.
my community, what we try to do is we try to think about new ideas. You talked about Minecraft. We got friends that are working on a educational system on the Minecraft for the kids, and they have meetings. They used to have meetings before COVID, but they were trying to get groups of kids together and try to work on social values and trying to learn about the world. They went to theaters to see how it works. They went to factories. They were trying to do more and try to develop them better.
there's
So
there's
we are
there's
constantly,
actually maybe let's say a word about because I think Seth wanted like examples. Maybe there is actually two friends of ours who are now working on. It's a big project. It's not going to happen overnight, but with these guys, you can't know.
yeah,
They're actually developing an online school in Minecraft for a certain age group, and they've like my
yeah,
son was put into like a team that will teach through Minecraft other students, other people, other kids transportation,
yeah,
and another one will teach construction, and another one will teach like
yeah,
how to get along with like food and resources there in the Minecraft world. But it's totally doable, and it's just at the moment it's up to people who have the initiative and somehow the time and the vision, rather than that becoming the big project for humanity, how to educate our,
Also,
our
you know what?
children.
The same way that COVID came and or nature came dressed as COVID and cleaned the environment in a matter of a few weeks by sending everyone home. Let's also imagine that, and then threw everyone out into the street. Actually, a few months later, we can see that same force of nature push through it and change everything. Just all of a sudden, everyone just has new ideas. For example, if you want to know something, we're three adults. If we want to know something, we just Google it. Or if I have a question about something and I don't know and I think Asaf knows, I just call him or message him. Everything that we do as adults is collaborative, or we have access to the internet. Yet when you're a student in school, no, don't talk to your friend. No, don't speak to him.
yeah,
No, don't, you have a problem on a test. No, don't. What?
Collaborating is cheating, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in school. I don't know how to answer the test. And instead of asking a friend or figuring out how to do it, I just get a bad grade. Instead of in real life, you just ask somebody or look it up or do something. So even in that simple thing where the system, like from that NASA study, Ali, I don't know if you heard about it. We talked about this NASA study. Okay, you know about it.
yeah, yeah.
So
I heard it all.
so it's the same thing. It's the kids are built to collaborate and create this world, and the schools and the whole system just like tries to hold it down. And this isn't to say
Yeah,
that the educators are bad people or the people running our school. It's not the point. It's just an old system that needs to move
exactly.
forward, because the world where it was fine for the world that existed 6 months ago, you could say, but the world that we're moving into is already changed. And
Yeah,
with this force of nature, we may, all of these problems that seem insurmountable, just like the environmental crisis seemed so insurmountable, maybe this hand of nature will give a push and help
Yeah.
this organize in a way.
yeah.
Ali,
That's what we hope
maybe,
for.
yeah, maybe give a few, as we're talking about this, maybe give a few ideas, tips, or some thoughts on that comparison between I mean, a lot of people are debating right now. Parents are debating: should I send my kid to school? Yes, no. We're not saying you should tell people what to do, but give some of your observation on the last 4 or 5 months homeschooling versus the regular educational system. What can you take from that, from this time, from this kind of comparison? What kind of thoughts and ideas you can give to parents? Yeah.
Yeah, well, from my experience, I mean, definitely because of COVID, definitely it's not about the question is not about sending or not sending them, because it's more a health issue right now. But if I just compare the two things, the educational, the regular educational system and the homeschooling system that I have been doing for 4 and 5 months, none of them is ideal. I mean, the school system, obviously, it's old, it's outdated, it's a social jungle, so they can't really develop normal social skills because they're 30 in class, they're hundreds in a building, so it's basically just survival of the fittest. That's what you have. That's why you have bullies, and you have kids, very young kids getting depressed and they feel isolated.
Right.
So we know all these problems. It's not started, right. It started like a few years. It's been bad for a long time. It's just, we kind of just got used to it. And now that I have been homeschooling, I have to say, obviously, I see the benefits. My son doesn't have to catch the school bus at 7 a.m. He can just get up from bed at 7 a.m. and he can learn from the computer. I try to do a lot. I try to do fun stuff. I try to do fun learning, and also through the internet and all the things that you mentioned. But still, there's one problem. I'm
Can I
only one person.
some visuals you sent me
Sure.
from. By the way, you can follow. People are asking in the chat about your that video clip that we saw before. So you can follow Ellie Olson on Facebook and see what she's up to, and we will post the link to that specific clip that people are asking to see again right at the end of the show. We'll
Sure.
post it both on YouTube and on Facebook. But so every now and then, you send me Seth. Ellie sends me every now and then because even though I'm here at home, I'm locked in this place
This is
most of
what's
the
going
time.
on in the
You're
kitchen,
not.
so
You're
in
not
case you
really here.
So
You're here, but you're not really here.
a lot
You
of the
know
time,
this.
yeah.
I mean, I've been homeschooling the kids pretty much by myself, but you've been
I've been a
right here, like
creative.
over the yeah.
I've been a creative inspiration. Let's leave it
Yes,
at that.
always,
you're
always.
her muse.
But I do get updates in the form of videos that she captures all the time. So maybe, yeah, just keep going. I just wanted to say I'll play some of this in the background. Uh,
Okay,
yeah.
okay. I'll just keep going about homeschooling. So I have been homeschooling, and comparing to, because I run a daycare, so I do have the tools, and I'm used to being with kids 24/7. But these ages are bigger egos, so it's more challenging. And well, my experience is that one person can't do it all. It does takes a village to raise a child. Kids needs a variety of people to learn from. I'm awesome, but I don't have enough information about everything. And yes, you have, obviously you have the internet, you have these tools, but it's, as we said, not organized. So uh, anybody who is homeschooling, he feels like, I feel like I'm a cook, I'm a trainer, I'm a teacher, I'm a boss, I'm a judge, and I'm a lawyer, and I also the cleaning lady, and I also have a 5-month-old baby. So it's a lot for one person. And I do have, some experience. I have a lot of experience, but other people, other parents are probably kind of terrified and they have no idea. So my conclusion is that we need to reorganize education, but not only for kids, but also for grown-ups, for parents. Because we as parents, we did grow up on this old educational system, and we kind of have no idea. We didn't get the manual. So we need to educate ourselves so we can educate our children better. It's a new world.
There's, it's
Let's do it.
beautiful. There's something also so simple that everybody can start to do for which doesn't take so much training, and that's just be based in reality. When my teenage boys start shouting at each other when they hate each other, so I sit them down and I say, that's really normal. I understand that you hate your brother. In fact, it's very normal that brothers hate brothers sometimes.
Hmm.
There's because I think that normally what we do, no,
Yep.
no, stop fighting, no, be nice, no, just deal with what is first thing. It's exactly what we're saying about the virus also. Just accept reality, and that is where you find the solution. Okay, so I understand, and now in our family Let's talk about what happened here. And then in our family now, we're going to love each other. So we don't cancel all of the normal things. Like, so you have a kid who's in school, for example, and he's got all this energy, and the teacher spends all day just pushing him down, pushing
Yeah.
him. This kid could probably run the whole city,
Yeah.
but she's spending 4 years just making him shut up instead of finding a way. Okay,
Mhm.
Max, wow, you have a lot of energy. So we're with a lot of people. Let's figure out. You got something to say, Asaf?
Let's
You're,
just
you're
get
raising your hand like we're in the classroom. So
no.
you're-
I was like, oh, there's something here I need to add. The you talked about repression, basically how we are repressing the kids, and I just thought about, the biggest thing that we do as a society, not just at school, is we repress not just these natural urges and understanding your own natural urges and your own human nature and all that, but what the biggest thing that hurts to see as a Kabbalah student, uh, uh, that we're repressing children's quest for meaning and purpose. This is
Ooh, wow.
this is such a, if you just think about, the massive effect that this has on society. It is not, it's almost not legitimate. There's
Asaf,
no,
Patricia just
what?
wrote, my 7-year-old was kicked out of school 2 days before schools were shut. The
There you
kid was
go.
probably, I don't know, but he was probably just blowing up inside because he wants to know, what am I doing? What is all this? And
Uh,
everyone, shh, be quiet,
this
sit down,
this is
sit
the
down.
thing.
But no,
Our system, our educational system, and our society doesn't encourage a person who's growing up to research what are we living for. And as a child, when you hit 5, 6, 7, something like that, but just it's the quality of humans. We search for why we are here, what is our purpose, what is our meaning, and not the parents, not the teachers, not the media, not the games. Nothing is telling the children even, hey, it's natural, and you know what, as a human being you should be questioning and researching, and that's what we're about. The human species is about discovering its purpose of existence, and that is the main thing that I think that is repressed, and that I think that by itself is why the educational revolution is the spiritual revolution, is the economic revolution, is the great transition that we're talking about. Had to get that off my chest. Sorry. Go ahead.
That's beautiful. That I just wanted to say, you made me think about it because every day I mean, we learn these things, we try to remember them each day, we try to kind of live by this information, by this knowledge, but even myself, I forget these things sometimes, and then when I'm with the kids, I don't know, I'm cranky, I'm tired, and I go back to that repression. I tell them, okay, be quiet, do your stuff, do your, I don't know, worksheets, and do this and do that, and then you can watch a video. Like even myself, and I'm like ashamed of it, because every day I tell myself, okay, today you'll be better, today you will give them more, today you will expand their horizon. But even myself, when I have this knowledge, I forget. Why? Because my environment, it doesn't reminds me of it enough. That's why I'm saying we are all alone. Everybody are now stuck in their box, and they're trying to figure it out by themselves. We need this force, this big force that will um, remind us every day, what are we doing here, why are we doing this for, why do we need to teach our kids about nature, about the world. We have to like re-educate ourselves about it every day, the parents and the kids.
Ali, you are so awesome. Asaf, you're a lucky man. We definitely need to, we're at the end of our show here. We definitely need to discuss this more. There's a lot of excitement in the chats. This is something we need to open up. Everybody wants to know, how are we going to do this? A lot of questions. How are you going to educate 7 billion people? And, you know, let's not forget, the same way that the virus, nature clothed in the virus, closed down most of the world. we have nature. We are just going along with nature's plan. So we will definitely have you back hopefully soon, and we will expand on this. Maybe offline we'll figure out exactly what angle to will be the most helpful for everyone here. Uh, Friends, it is so amazing to be with you going on this journey. We have friends here today from Africa and Liberia, Wentzville, Europe, Portugal, North America, Quebec, Vancouver, Angola, South America, Argentina, uh, Eastern Europe, Russia, Kentucky, London, Mexico, New York, South Carolina, Ukraine, Israel, Ethiopia, Miami, Los Angeles, Brazil, Norway, Uganda, Portugal, Germany, Virginia, Colorado, Ghana, Pittsburgh, Queens, Northampton, Columbia, North Carolina, San Francisco, New Jersey, Kenya, Turkey, Connecticut, Germany, South Africa, and Chicago.
Woo!
Incredible. Thank you,
Incredible.
everybody. Ali, it was awesome spending an hour with you today and with
Thank
everybody
you.
here on YouTube and
It's been awesome.
Facebook. So great to be together again. And we'll see you Thursday.
Thursday.
2 p.m. Eastern. Thursday, 2 p.m.
Thursday,
Eastern.
Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, I will say my thank yous more elaborately afterwards in the kitchen. And why not let's stay all for a song as we recognize that we're all going through this great transition as one, as one. So thank you, everyone. Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern. Let's sing.